are at Crop, and we are lovingly nestled into the stair top retreat.
Ladies and gentlemen, he pulled it off.
I got it. It's almost the end of the day, but I finally got the name correct. But our little oasis among the chaos.
Yep.
Man, we're rounding out the end of the day.
Yep.
And the vendor village is hopping right now, as you can see. There's lots of people buying lots of stuff, but we're going to divert all of our attention to the man of the hour.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, hot seat veteran.
Yes.
Eric F. Dot. Give it up for Eric.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Well, thank you guys for having me back.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure,
Anytime.
as always.
You know, you did such a good job the first time. We were like, we want seconds.
Yes.
We wanted an encore.
No. It's more, you have done a whole bunch since then. So I think we talked to you 2 years ago now?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years.
Almost
Creative
exactly, because it was at Creative South, yeah.
And so you were working, I think then you were working in New York, is that right?
Yep,
okay,
freelancing.
So now tell us where you've been for the last 2 years and what you're doing now.
Sure, yeah. So when I talked to you last time, I was full-time freelance, working for my own F. Studio business, doing all kinds of lettering and illustration and logos and stuff like that. And then shortly after Creative South that year, I joined this team called Lunch Money. And Lunch Money is like a group of artists and designers, and we make all of the artwork that goes on the walls inside the co-working spaces at WeWork.
Nice.
And WeWork's like the biggest co-working space company in the world. There's over 200 locations. And in the last year of working there, a couple years of working there, they started opening up in Latin America. And I was like, I speak a little bit of Spanish. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I like to do some lettering in Spanish. Why not? You know, get my tacos on.
Yeah.
And I saw the opportunity to take over that region as like the main graphic designer for that.
That's awesome. So,
That's awesome,
you've been around the world. You've been to some places.
Currently I'm living in Buenos Aires, Argentina. That's my home spot. I don't spend that much time there. It feels like almost half the time I'm out installing I have a long distance relationship. My girlfriend lives in San Diego, so I'm always trying to come to Mexico for work so I can go to see her cheaply. That's what's going on. We're in like 5 different countries in Latin America, so bouncing around, checking out the different cities.
So are you painting murals, or are you designing them, printing them, and then physically installing them? Like, how does that work when you're going into these workplaces?
It's all of the above, man. It really depends on the project. Sometimes we're not allowed to paint on the wall because we don't usually own the buildings.
Okay.
Sometimes we're not doing any murals at all, and it's all just canvases or neon signs or some kind of laser cut material that goes on the wall.
Yeah.
And we try to really make it feel local. So it's not just us making our own style and our own quotes and everything and illustrations everywhere. We're really doing research and finding like what's the cool thing in Colombia that everybody knows about and the locals will really appreciate. So we do that phrase instead.
So it's not... Go ahead.
How long does that process take then? So are you like let's say it was Colombia, are you spending time in Colombia before you guys even put the designs together?
Well, we do most of the design work in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
And so we're doing research from remotely, talking to people like through email or phone, and sometimes just Googling around, watching YouTube videos about the culture. And so that really takes, I would say, 4 months from when we learn about the project to when it finally gets made. 3 or 4 months.
Awesome.
That's so cool. In my mind, I'm thinking about how so many of these companies or organizations around the world that are literal global organizations just have a design studio, whether it's, let's just say it's in Baton Rouge, a Baton Rouge design studio, like as a home base. They design the same thing, and then when they get into a new spot, they just give them the new measurements, and they format the artwork the same way.
Yeah.
And it looks the same everywhere. You guys are taking a totally different approach to it, and I like that a lot. I think it helps add an element of personalization, that because these WeWork, for the people who don't maybe know what this is, it's where people can go and just rent space in like a collaborative open work environment and set up shop. So they might be entrepreneurs, they might be freelancers, they might be whatever.
Yep.
And rather than paying monthly to lease out a spot, you have a co-working space, right? So it's cool that you guys get to go in there and make those areas unique to the place. And what's been the most challenging part for you as you've been trying to adapt to other people's culture?
It's a really good question, man. So let's see. down in Argentina, Spanish is not like the Spanish that you learn in high school, actually. It's a little bit of mixed with Italian in there. And obviously you go to Brazil, they speak Portuguese. And Colombia and Mexico, it's just different Spanish. So I think it's just being sensitive to that. And, you know, something that is all good in Argentina might sound really weird or like even sexual in Mexico. So I think just learning all the different Spanish, and that's been the biggest challenge because I have to speak it every day, and I'm not fluent by any means. I would say, like, when I moved down there, I was a level 3 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, and now I'm like a 5 or 6.
Okay.
You don't want to accidentally put "that's what she said" on the wall. Whatever the equivalent that would be in Argentina would be. Man, that's so cool. That's such a really rad job that you get to kind of go and acclimate these environments to these workspaces to their environment. That's really cool. I don't think not everybody gets to be able to do that. And I bet you're learning so much about culture as you do this. You're a culture sponge at this point, taking in all of this information. That's really cool.
One of my favorite things about the job is we get to collaborate with local artists sometimes. So usually when we do our first location in a new country or a new city, we try to get some of the local artists involved. And maybe we have a big exterior wall or a big interior wall that we can hire someone to do an amazing mural, and it's really bringing in the local culture. I know that sounds really like mushy-gushy, like we just do that for the press, but actually I get to hang out with these artists. I'm the person who selects them, gets to work with them. Like, I'm not trying to be like that asshole art director that's saying, oh, make it that color or make it this bigger. Like, I really want them to do what I give them some constraints in the beginning. Here's a mood board of what we like from your previous work. And we say, go crazy. And usually it works out so great, and I get to make new friends that way. So at this point, I feel like I'm kind of a bridge between the United States and Latin America, because how many of these artists are well known here? So I'm working on a little video series interviewing these artists around Latin America, documenting some of our projects together, and it's cool.
When do you get your United Nations pin? That's what I want to know. Because you're an ambassador between the two. All right, so you know the drill. We're going to play this game with you. You've been here before. The tokens haven't changed. You have a little bit, so let's see what you can bring to the master category
Refresh my memory a little bit.
So you pick one, and whatever the category is, you tell us something new, exciting, something that you think people should know about pertaining to that category.
You become the master.
Got it. Okay, let's do it. All right, TV and film.
And film.
Oh man, I don't watch that much TV or film, but if you have not seen the Netflix documentaries called Abstract, you need to watch those documentaries because, especially for creative people, it is so inspiring and so well done. People like Paula Scher and Christoph Neiman have a whole documentary based on their process. And like previously, that stuff was kind of hush-hush. You don't really want to be sharing all your secrets, but Netflix, I guess, paid them a boatload of money. And now they're sharing their process with everybody. Like everything from graphic design, game design, stage design, automobiles, footwear. Really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's really, it makes a lot of sense that be what you would gravitate toward because of the design element of it. But more than that, it's you're learning something. You're taking in something from these different industries or whatever, and it's a really, really cool approach. I like the documentary style.
So what's one thing that you pulled from that series that you've like maybe implemented in your process?
Well, I think with Christoph Neiman, there was a really interesting gold nugget that he gave away in his episode. He's an illustrator. He does stuff for like the New Yorker and all those famous magazines and newspapers. And he kind of capitalizes on how we already read things. We read things from left to right, top to bottom, right? So his illustrations, he knows that you're going to look at the top left corner first. And by the time you get to the bottom right, there's a punchline. So maybe it's like the one that I can think of that's on top of my mind is it's like someone weaving these strings together. And at the bottom, you see that it creates the Eiffel Tower. So it's about a story. It was an editorial illustration about something to do with Paris. But
that's awesome. That's a unique perspective on it too. Like,
never would have thought of that.
People don't think about it, right? But it absolutely makes sense. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you, your adventures around the world, the art and stuff that you do.
So on Instagram is probably the best place to follow along. My handle is FDOT. That's EFDOT. Real short and simple. And my website, f.studio.com.
Perfect,
awesome. Man, dude, you're killing it. Keep it up. And the next time we chat with you, who knows where you'll have been.
Yeah, maybe I'll be back home. Who knows?
Nice.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks so much,
hey,
dude.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.